Welcome, Dino D, American in the Philippines YouTube channel. It's been a few days since I posted a video. Not been feeling very well. I have a cataract in my right eye here, so I have to try to save $1,000 to get that fixed. Maybe some of my viewers might, lend me a little hand with that. So anyways, please subscribe, click the like button, leave a comment. I have 3 boxes here, 1, 2, and 3 for an unboxing show, but I'm waiting for one more package. So we'll have 4 packages to unbox, but that's not what this video is about. This video is, I believe it's Filipina P, talking about how much is a foreigner worth in his land and possibly future Philippines land, and approximately how much it would cost to live here in the Philippines. So stay tuned and watch Filipina P. Thank you.
Hi folks, the Filipina P here, and I'd like to ask you a question. Do you ever feel like the invisible man? Do you look in the mirror and see pretty much the same guy that's been looking back at you for decades, but somehow the opposite sex just seems to look right through you, like you weren't even there? You're no longer getting lingering glances or prolonged conversations. No flirting, no interest, no takers. Okay, so you might have gained a few pounds and maybe there's a little less fur on your noggin, but you've kept in pretty good shape and you consider yourself at least average looking. So what's going on? You're still worth the effort of someone's attention, but it feels like the only women who are interested in you are wanting something without having much to give in return. The woman with 3 kids from 2 different men, who's obviously looking for a soft place to land and have you finance her life. Or the party girl who's realized that the music has finally stopped and yours is the only chair that's available. And you get the feeling that they're not really excited about being with you. It's more like, you'll suffice. But where's that key ingredient? The passion. That feeling of, I can't wait to get the clothes off you and my hands on you. You might not be in your 20s anymore, but you're certainly not ready to give up that part of your life. So where's the women who feel the same way about it that you do? Oh, they might pretend they're interested in riding the Bony Express, but we both know that a couple years from now, sex will be about the last thing on their to-do list. And even more than that, where's their desire for genuine companionship and the mutual respect that keeps 2 people together for the long haul? You're not looking for a marriage of convenience or a business arrangement. You're looking for a partner in life, and it doesn't seem there's anyone out there who's wanting to partner up for the right reasons. Men are supposed to hold their value as they mature, so why aren't women seeing yours? Did you reach your expiration date without knowing it? Or have the women changed and their expectations have become ridiculous? And instead of being devoted partners, they seem more like opportunistic mercenaries. They get angry at the thought of doing your laundry, but sure don't mind taking you to the cleaners. Well, maybe you're just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And there are actually places left on earth where you can be appreciated for all you have to offer. Or maybe none of this applies and you're just looking for a cheaper place to live. Well, recently, a lot more Western guys have realized they have a possible answer to these problems. Some call it geomaxing. Some people just call it getting on a plane. And some men, calling themselves passport bros, have decided to look for better pastures overseas. But whatever name you use, the strategy seems to be gaining momentum. The ultimate goal is to increase your value, both economically and in the dating market, by going where you can finally leave your invisible days behind and once again be seen. Sound impossible? Check this out. Let's say you live in California and you have a house that's worth $1 million. Sounds like you're rich, right? But your place isn't really all that big, and after paying your property taxes and living expenses, you can barely afford McDonald's a few times a month. Right across the border in Arizona, you see a much larger house for sale that's only $300,000 in an area with a lower cost of living. Not only that, but the neighbors are really friendly and there's almost no crime. You work online, so you can pretty much go wherever you want and still get the same pay you're making now. So you say, well, that's a no-brainer. I'm headed to Arizona. With one move, you just greatly improve your living conditions, cut your expenses in half, and stuffed $700,000 in your pocket. And now you live like a king. Tell anybody that story, and almost every single person who hears it is gonna say, wow, that was a smart move. But tell people this story and watch the reaction you get. You've been busting your ass for 30 years at the same job, working all the overtime you could get so you could support your wife and kids. You didn't have a huge house, but you finally paid it off after you got the kids through college. You took early retirement and you were getting ready to enjoy the fruits of your labor, just as your wife decides that she needs to find herself and serves you with divorce papers. You lose everything, including the house and most of your savings. And now you're trying to figure out how you're gonna survive on what's left every month. And you really miss having a relationship, but you're determined never to let a woman destroy you financially again. The problem is, when you look around to see who's available, you realize that no one's looking back at you. Women seem to actually despise you just for being a man, and you don't seem to get any respect despite all your years of being a good husband and father. There's a few overweight women in their 50s who wouldn't mind living in your house, but their idea of a good time is gardening, and they have little interest in seeing that your seeds get planted, even if you feel like you've got plenty of oats left to sow. So you heard about this crazy idea where guys are liquidating their assets and relocating to places where their money goes a lot further, where the weather's nicer and the women still treat men like their valued partners. Trying to make things work there in the West by forcing a good enough relationship is like jamming a square peg in a round hole, and you've already had enough of getting jammed and pegged by your ex. So you're gonna go where women are still women and get another shot of happiness. A real shot. After looking at the numbers and researching the culture, you've decided to take a trip there in person to check it out. Now try telling that story to people, especially to women. If you're expecting them to say, wow, smart move, then you probably got a surprise coming. The response you're more likely to hear is, you're a dirty pervert who can't get a real woman, so you're gonna go buy a poor little girl from some third world asshole. But what's the difference? In both stories, it's location, location, location. And it's about maximizing your value and your quality of life wherever you go. You're just making the best hand out of the cards you were dealt. And in this case, going overseas allows you to reshuffle the deck. And that's what a smart person does. Let's face it, money equals power, equals status, equals attraction. That's no big secret. So doesn't it make sense to maximize those things? Because you're worth a lot more in other places. Not just in terms of money, but in terms of all the other qualities that you have to offer too. Taking the show overseas doesn't mean you can't get a woman in the West. It means you can get a better deal elsewhere. So where is it that Western men are going? You might not have noticed, but I haven't mentioned the Philippines yet. Not one single time. That's because men are also trying countries like Brazil, Colombia, Thailand, the Dominican Republic, Russia, and Ukraine, to name just a few. Although I don't imagine those last two are currently in the running. But since I'm familiar with the Philippines, that's what I'm gonna talk about. And here's some of the reasons why it's such a popular destination. Now, most of you that watch my channel are already familiar with what I'm about to say, so just humor me for the sake of the new folks. The Philippines is extremely visa-friendly. It's one of the easiest places to stay almost indefinitely on a tourist visa if you want to. And all you have to do is leave the country for 1 day every 3 years. That gives you plenty of time to decide if you like it here without having to shell out money for a retirement visa, which some foreigners never even bother to get. As well as our local languages, we speak English here. We listen to Western music and we get the same movies you do. So the culture shock you're gonna face in other countries largely doesn't exist here. Trust me, that's a big plus. We're more accepting of foreigners too, and most Westerners say they feel very welcome here, unlike countries with higher levels of xenophobia. Japan comes to mind. It's expensive to live there, and you'll never be accepted as one of them, and there's a cultural stigma attached to dating non-Japanese. The women there will actually hide your relationship from their families, many of whom would never accept you, making for quite a mess sometimes. The same situation exists to varying degrees in China and South Korea, and even somewhat in Thailand. Filipinas, on the other hand, are generally proud to be dating you, and once your relationship is for real, expect to be introduced to more family and friends than you can imagine. It's getting away from them that's the hard part. Healthcare is cheap here, and we have modern facilities and medications that are available for a fraction of the cost in the West. Unless, of course, you currently have free healthcare, which we do not. And probably the biggest economic benefit you'll find here is the cost of housing. Rent is much lower than many Western countries, and you can get a really nice apartment for under $300 a month. So what does it cost to live here in relative comfort? While many people will say you can live here for less, I recommend $1,000 to $1,500 US per month. That means if you only have 12,000 US dollars per year, you can live just fine. Not exactly a Western lifestyle, but plenty good enough. If you want to see the actual breakdown of a typical budget, there's a link to a video I did on a subject that you might find interesting. Now, I haven't mentioned anything about the women, us Filipinas, because I don't think I really need to. If you watch my channel, or if you're going to watch my channel, you'll see plenty of interviews with people on the street and what we think about you. We're generally a kind and caring people who are easy to get along with. And contrary to what some people claim, no, we're not just faking our attraction to you to get to your money. Economic stability is important. Of course it is. But the connections and relationships we make with you are real. Don't believe me? Then listen to the words of a legend in the manosphere, Rollo Tomasi, author of the best-selling book, The Rational Male. He's an expert in human behavior and sexual selection, and he spent time here in the Philippines himself. He certainly should know what he's talking about, and this is what he has to say.
The Philippines is like a different world. You're maybe a 4 or a 5 here, and women won't give you the time of day here. You go over to the Philippines, they're very feminine. They're like, they pay attention to you. They want to be with you. Now, is that attraction genuine? I would say definitely it is when you're there.
So there you have it from the man himself. In his opinion, the attractions are real. Now you might be wondering, what do I get out of this? Why do I sometimes make videos that seem to promote the Philippines? Well, the answer is, nothing much. I don't get paid by the government to lure foreigners to the Philippines. I don't have a secret deal with the Board of Tourism. The only thing I get is views on my videos, but I can easily make videos about plenty of other topics instead if I wanted to. It doesn't personally affect me if you come here or not. I'm just providing you accurate information about the subject so you can make an informed choice. The truth is, I just like to see people happy. And to me, having some of you nice folks here is a win-win for everyone. We're actually glad to have you. It's good for the economy. And you folks generally seem to be law-abiding guests in our country. But the biggest reward is all the emails I get from happy couples who've used my videos to not only find each other, but understand each other. And that's a reward all by itself. That's not to say that everything's peachy keen here. So watch my videos talking about the flip side, the negative things that you'll encounter if you live here. I always tell both sides of the story, and it's not my intention to paint a rosy picture that doesn't measure up to reality. And with the good, there's always some not so good. But many guys have taken the plunge and now call the Philippines their home. And remember, if you don't like it here, you can always go back where you came from or try someplace new. No hard feelings. So the next time someone hands you that old line about, you're such a loser that you have to go to the other side of the world to find a woman, just smile and say, actually, I'm a smart shopper who knows where the best deal is, and I'm brave enough to go get it. Well, that's it for today. I hope you all have a great weekend, and I'll be back on Tuesday with something new. Till then, folks. Okay, now that's 26 foreigners have brought into the Philippines so far this month, right? At 50,000 pesos per foreigner, that's 1,300,000 pesos. Now that's gonna be deposited directly into my account just like the last time, right? And it doesn't matter how long they stay as long as I get them into the country. Okay, cool. I'm sure glad my viewers... Lucy? Camera 1 is turned off, right?
Yes, I turned it off.
Okay, good. Now where were we? Right, the hotel stays. I figure I'm responsible for at least 200 nights of hotel bookings, and with 10% kickback, that's another 50,000 pesos. And aren't I gonna get something for all the restaurant meals and cab fares too? Well, I ought to get something, right? After all, these guys wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for my videos.
Just sit right back.
If you think about it, I'm kind of like Marianne. We both have bubbly personalities. We've lived in bamboo huts, and both of us are stuck on a tropical island, doing whatever we can to get off. If you want to help me get rescued, please subscribe to my channel, share my videos with friends, and hit that notification bell so you can see my next episode. And if you really want to save me, check out my Patreon channel for extra content and exclusive videos. And also like Marianne, I have to take cold showers. Hey Gilligan, will you throw me that towel?
His little towels.
I'm really not looking forward to this.
No, you sure don't look like the skipper.
Gilligan? Only 4 men on the island, and I have to get stuck with a peeping Gilligan.